Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this third in our three-series session of Keeping the Community Working. These are presentations by the Foster Center to try to reach out to the community and provide some services. And I'd like to welcome you all today. I'm delighted that Anna Forrest is here to share her expertise and her knowledge on Excel. And with that, I will turn it over to Anna.
Well, thank you, Mike. Welcome all, and let's have some fun with Excel. And I would like you all to open the file. And I hope you can all see my file. The lovely thing about Excel is that no matter where you stop, if you save your file, Excel will actually start exactly. Have your files in front of you?
Not yet.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, then I'm waiting a little bit more. So first of all, let me just know for all of you on Zoom, I mean, I have some people here in front of me, but also for the people on Zoom. If I go too fast, please let me know, because I've done that a few times. I know how to do it. So if I go too fast, just yell and say, can you do that again? And I'm happy to do that again, okay? So I don't feel bad if you interrupt me. That is perfectly fine, because I want you to learn. And you can only learn if you're actually starting with me, okay?
I have nothing on my screen yet.
Is there a guest password or? Are you logging into the Zoom?
I'm not even on, I got nothing.
I don't think you can log, you need a laptop or something.
Oh gosh, you cannot, oh.
Yeah, you can't use a computer, like, this is my laptop.
Okay, then let me log you in.
Yeah, you need to be logged in.
Oops.
This is nothing.
So you gotta turn the computer on or something, maybe try a different computer. You just got that, unlucky is all.
There you go. You want to use a different computer.
Well, I just turned it on. I don't know if that will help.
Yeah, it's actually coming out.
You can wait, yeah.
Yeah, you need the file in front of you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's much better. I had taken that Excel class like 20 years ago. And it's,
It helps.
powerful. Excel is very powerful, but you need the file open, you need the formulas.
Yes.
I'm a very, very new at this. So
That's perfectly
I don't
fine.
want to read this down, so.
We get you.
That's called the first step to the basics.
You're using your own laptop.
I didn't know we got the use of the computer. This is pretty nice. So, yeah, this is my laptop.
And then you know how to get to your file?
You can just click on Excel if it comes up.
No, you need the specific file.
You can get it in the email.
Mike, can you just grab the file from my flash drive and pull it on her computer? There's only one file on there. Okay, while you guys are doing that, let me just talk about some basics with Excel. So Excel is one of the programs in the Office suite. And when you start Excel, on the top of the page, you see what is referred to as the ribbon. So you have on the very top, you have File, Home, Insert, Draw, Page Layout, and so on, and so on. And we are currently on the Home ribbon, and here you see all sorts of commands. What you have on the Home ribbon, which is the one you use the most, is all sorts of formatting and cell styles and similar things like that. Thank you. Now, the cool thing about Excel, it always starts exactly where you have left off. So in other words, we are currently on the spreadsheet, on the worksheet. So we have a whole bunch of worksheets here that I put in for you. We are currently on the worksheet basics, but we are not on top of the worksheet basics. Okay, I did that deliberately so because I wanted to tell you that Excel always starts where you left off. So if you are working on the very bottom of your page and 5 o'clock comes by and you want to go home, You just save Excel, and the next time you open Excel, it will end up exactly where you stopped your work before, which is a very cool feature. Okay, let's go to the top now. We have here Spring Software, and as you can see, Spring Software is in one cell. The one cell has extended from A1 to H1. By the way, cell references are always, when I click on this cell, it is K, as you can see, and the column and 3 in the row. You always refer to an Excel cell first by the column letter and then by the row name. So as you can see, when I click on A1, the whole cell, which goes from A1 to H1, is highlighted. And what you can see on the ribbon is that merge and center is highlighted. So you can merge and center cells. This is what we are going to do first. Please go to A2, click on A2. And while you keep your mouse cursor pressed, go all the way to H2. And now click merge and center. And now we are doing the same thing for the third row. So please click on A3, keep your mouse button pressed, go all the way to H, and press merge center. Okay? Now, Spring Software is the title. So we want to let it look, we want to have it look kind of cool. So we go to Cell Styles and pick heading 1. And what you can now see is that Spring Software is bold, it has a different font, and the cell is underlined in blue. Cell Styles is under Styles on the ribbon. And then you can kind of do something cool. Let's say I press on 2020, and then I choose a cool font like Algerian, and then I have some cool stuff. So in other words, in Excel, you can switch, you can change, like in Word, you can change the font. When I go to Spring Software, it is currently 15. I can also make it larger. And you can choose inbuilt cell styles that enable you to format a cell in a very specific way. Are you all with me so far?
I still don't see the cell styles. I've got normal, bad, good, and neutral stuff up in here.
This is
Oh,
actually,
I mean, I see styles right
this is your
there.
styles. Yes, so you click here. So whenever you see a file like that, there is a neutral, and then you choose heading 1. Okay? Okay, cool. Okay, now let's go to our very first function, shall we? The most commonly used function in Excel is the AND, is the addition. So I want to actually know how many sites from each month have been visited in my total year. So here's the thing. Whenever you put a function in Excel, you start with the equal sign. I always tell my students, if I wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I ask you, what is the first sign that goes into a function cell? It's the equal sign, and you have to know it. That's one of the key features. So I put in the equal sign, and you might see that you can an equal sign not only see on the bottom, but you can also see it on the top. So this is where I am. And now after the equal sign comes the name of the function. What do you guess is the name of the function where we sum things up? It is actually sum, which is easy. So I put sum. And then you always have parentheses, always. So the syntax of a function is always equal sign, sum, and then all the cells you want to add up. Now I could now go here and then I have B7, comma, B8, comma, B9, but that would be kind of very, very annoying to put all those cells in. So Excel allows you to actually use the colon to define a cell range. So we want to have the cell range from B7 to B18. So I put B7 colon B18. And as you can see now, Excel highlights the exact cell range that we want to sum up. So you close your parenthesis, you hit enter, and there it is. There is your sum. Yes?
Can you do the auto sum?
I first wanted to show you how each function works. So it's always equal sign, name of the function, and then a parenthesis in which you have the elements on which the function operates. This is what I first wanted to do with you. However, Excel has also some functions that are so-called auto functions. When you go to the very right of your ribbon, you see under editing, you see in the top left, you see auto sum. So if we go to C19 and just press this auto sum, as you can see, it will automatically add up all the cells above. So hit enter and there you go. Okay? Now, Excel also has something that is absolutely cool that is called the fill handle. So let's say I put Monday here, okay? And then I go to the bottom right of the cell until my cursor turns into a little thin cross. Then I press my mouse button and drag it down. And as you can see, Excel will fill in. The same thing works when you use a short form. So when I use Jan for January, and I go to the bottom right until my file cursor turns into a thin cross, and I move down, it will give me the month in short form. That is called the fill handle. And we are going to use the very same fill handle. Sorry, let me just delete that. For actually using our end functions. So I go to the bottom right of my function and drag it over. And there you can see the sum function has been now copied into all the other cells. Now this one here, the last column, what should the sum be? Since this is percentages, it should be 1, right? So let me add it up. And sure enough, it is 1. And the reason why it is 1 is because while this says here percentage of year, it is actually not in percentages. As you can see, when I click on one of the cells here, as you can see under number format, it is actually a general number format. Now I want to turn that into the percentage format. So I go onto H7, I highlight every cell till H19, and then I click on percentage. Now, these percentages are all rounded up. And with these two buttons, I can actually add and get rid of decimals. I want to add 2 decimals. And here I have. Now, one thing you have to be aware of, and that is one of the cool features in Excel. Even though Excel rounds up, because we humans are simply not made for gazillion decimals, it calculates always with the accurate decimals. So don't worry about if you get rid of the decimals and just show the percentages without any decimals. That will not influence at all the accuracy of calculations if you do calculations with a percentage, okay? So feel free to get rid of decimals all you want in Excel. Now, the next thing I would like to do is, so we have just formatted the number format in column H and turned it into percentages. What I would now like to do, because the numbers in the rest of our area are actually kind of big, I would like to put the comma format in there, right? So I want the hundreds of the thousands separated by a comma. So I highlight everything from B7 to G19. And up here, I press comma. And as you can see now, Excel automatically added 2 decimals. So let's get rid of those 2 decimals because they are all useless. And so now we have much easier to read numbers. You press the comma now.
Oh, I did it on here, not.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Sorry about that.
Always, and we only operate from the ribbon, okay? And this is the fill handle. You go to the bottom and then you drag it over. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, I want the totals to be bold. So I highlight number 19. To highlight a whole column or a whole row, you press in the gray area on the letter or the number, and I press bold. And now I have the whole last row is actually bold. So this was all fine. And by the way, we currently took, so there's the number format dollar, there's the number format percentage, there's the number format comma, but there are other number formats. So for instance, if I go on A7, it tells me it is a date, right? That is what the number format tells me. But when I actually go to the drop-down menu by clicking on the down arrow, I can turn it into a long date. Now, why do I suddenly have all these weird number signs? That means that the column isn't wide enough. So I go between, I move my mouse cursor between A and B until it turns into the form of a vertical line with 2 horizontal arrows. And I double click. And I now turn the width of the column to exactly fit its content. So what you can now see with a long date, it gives me the day of the week and it spells the month out. All right. So I just wanted to show you how that works. And when I now grab my fill handle, again, bottom right, turn until your cursor turns into this little cross and then move it down. And again, double click. This is why Wednesday is such a long name. This is why we had to do it again. You now have the column A is the perfect date. And as you can see, what we earlier have merged and centered, it still is merged and centered. So the merged and centered style will enlarge and center with whatever we do with the width of the various cells.
I know.
Now what we want to do is, because all that was done on plain text.
We have a chat.
Okay.
Asking if you could do that again.
What specifically?
Virginia?
The changing of the date, making it a long date.
Sure, no problem. So I'm going to A7, yeah? And then I go under number, I go to the drop-down menu next to date. Okay? And when we have date, it means short date.
You double click it, it doesn't go all the way over. I'm not sure why.
Oh, then you just have to pull it manually over.
Which one up here?
Yeah. There you go.
And then rather than short date, you select long date. And then you have all these number signs, which means that your column isn't wide enough. So you go between A and B and double click. And now you can see that your long date contains the day of the week as well. And now you turn your fill handle down and pull it down. You have to adjust the width again. And now you have it. Virginia, was that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to actually turn this data into a table. And the way we do it is we click on A6 and highlight the whole area from A6 to H19.
Excuse me, can I say something really quickly? The dates, when you dragged them, changed from the original Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, they were supposed to.
It went from January 31st to February 1st, which the Excel spreadsheet date was
You
February
are
28th.
absolutely correct. Thank you very much for pointing that out. This
Thank you.
what can happen. Very good. This is what can happen with the fill handle. So what happened here with the fill handle is that when I put an individual date with a long date, what actually happens is that rather than having the last of the month, it goes day after day after day. So what we just now learned, and I'm glad you pointed that out because I wanted to point it out at the next spot. So it's glad that it happened here, that sometimes the fill handle does do bad stuff. So you cannot fully rely on the fill handle, okay? So in this case, it didn't go by month, it actually went by day. In which case you press undo, which is the most useful button in Excel, which is on the top left, right next to the save, and press it as long as you can until you are back to the normal date. So what have we just learned? We learned how to turn something into the format. So here's how you do that when you just want to copy the format. So I go again to A7 and change it from short date to long date. And when I now want to copy just the format on the highlighted cell 8-7, you can see here under clipboard on the home ribbon, you see Format Painter. You all see that? I want you to click the Format Painter. And as you can see now, when you return, that your mouse button turns into this little paintbrush. You all see that? So I want you to go to A8 to A18. And there you have now the correct format through all. So what we did was we copied not the content, but we copied the format of the long date. Yeah? Okay, and now we want to turn it into a table. And by the way, something that you always want to do on a regular basis is saving, because Excel can crash. So let's just take a little break, go to File, and go to Save. A shortcut for saving is also Control S. So we go to A6 and we highlight the area from A6 to H19. And we are now leaving the home ribbon for the first time and go to the insert ribbon. And on the left side of the ribbon, you see table. Click table. And you get this little dialog window. And yes, our table does have headers. So I keep that highlighted and I press OK. And now my data has turned into a nice little table. The default is it has banded rows. And now comes something really cool. When I actually press anywhere on the table, what you will see now here on top of the ribbon is something that is called design. Oh, sorry, there we go. Let me click on the design, and you now have a special ribbon that is just for the table you just have created. So you can see here the filter buttons, header row. When I, for instance, unpress banded rows, the bands are gone. But I want the bands, so I put it back on. So in other words, whenever you insert an object into Excel, like a table, like a chart, like anything like that, you will actually end up with an extra ribbon or several extra ribbons for the object you have put in which you can manipulate the object. Okay? So now I want you to go down. And here we are having another one. So here it says January 20. That means January 2020. It's a short date. That is the only format in which you can actually use the fill handle to fill everything in, and you get the month. The first thing I want to do, I want to turn the numbers into the comma format. I want to get rid of the decimals. And now I want to turn it into a table. So I go from A22 to E34. And then remember, I go to Insert. I go to Table. I say my table has headers, and there I am.
None of mine work. Probably because this thing never, probably because it didn't complete that thing at first, but none of that's.
So first of all, let's do this one here. So you go here. Okay, you have highlighted more those. Now you go to the Insert ribbon and press Table. Yes, your table has headers. There you are.
Okay, and now I need to pull this down
Yes.
and make the days. And make the rest.
No, that
Yeah,
was
make
not.
sure you have the cross.
No. So what you have to do is you have to click here, and then you wait till your cursor has turned into this little cross. You see the difference between this and this?
Right.
And now you pull it down.
Thank you.
Okay? No, don't worry. So what I now show you, the filter buttons are there. So when I, for instance, want to know which month got the most hits, I click on the filter button and says sort largest to smallest. Okay, I do that. And what you can see is that December is the month with the most hits, and February is the month with the least hits, which would make sense that February is the month with the least hits because it has fewer days than the rest, right? So you can see that you can filter, and the filter buttons are really cool because they can help you analyze the data. But there's actually a much cooler way to do that, because in a table which starts with month, you really want to have the month. You really want to have the month in correct order. You don't want to mess up with a month because you want to see what's going on. So what we are going to do is the following. I want you to go to the design ribbon of the table and turn off the banded rows. Okay? So you click on the table, and then on the top will appear a design ribbon. And I want you to go back to the home ribbon. And what we now do is what is called conditional formatting. We format cells in a specific way to show us what are actually the best and the worst months. So I want you to highlight column B. So I want you to highlight B23 to B34. And then I want you to go to conditional formatting. You see this little dialogue here, right?
Yeah, go back to the home.
So this highlight menu, I want you to go to top bottom rules. And I want you to choose top 10%. And since this is the top, we don't want to format it with red, right? Because red is always bad. We want to format it. So go to the drop down menu and fill it with, fill it with green. Sorry. Okay, what we currently have is only 1 month. I would like to have 2. So I increase my percentage. And now I have 2 months highlighted. Hit OK. And you now know with one look which month got the most hits. Yeah, make sense?
You just back up a couple steps there, please.
Let's just do it again, and let's just do it this time with the lowest, okay? So let's highlight B23 to 34 again. I go to conditional formatting on the home ribbon. I go to the drop-down menu. I go to the top bottom rules. And now I want the bottom. So I go to bottom 10%. And I see currently 1 red. And yes, I want to keep the red. And I increase it because I want to have 2. Got it? So the cool thing now is we actually see now with one view, which are the best and the worst month. Okay? We don't have to sort. We don't have to filter. Now, conditional formatting offers you something else, which is cool. Because the pages, as you can see, they go all the way from 1163 to 705. So I want to highlight this column D, so D23 to 34. Yeah? I want you to go to conditional formatting, and I want you to go to data bars. And as you can see under data bars, you have a gradient fill and you have a solid fill. I prefer the gradient fill because that means you can still read the content in the file. So please hit gradient fill. And what you can now see is you have bars that are in length according to the number, that correspond with the number. So again, that is helping you to see with one view, what is a good month, what is a bad month. Shall we do one more? Sure, let's do one more. Okay, so Lee, please highlight E23 to E34. Now in column E, the differences are not that big. They go from 347 to 490. So what I want you to do is, I want you to go to conditional formatting and use color scales. Just use any old color scale you can find. I chose the very first one. And what you can see is that the worst month is the darkest purple. And then you have a gradient that goes all the way from bad to good. So it goes from red to yellow to orange to green. Get it? This is kind of cool when you want to see with one look how the comparison works. So conditional formatting is far more powerful than filtering. And if you want to look at data and want to analyze data, conditional formatting is your friend. Okay, by now you should have learned how to use the ribbon. We used the home ribbon and we used the insert ribbon. How to turn data into a table. How to change the number format. How to do an auto sum. And how to use conditional formatting. Are there any questions? Okay, cool. Oh, yes, and how to use the format painter. That's an important one. Okay, Then let's do some charts, shall we? So click on charts 1. We have here a table where we first want to add our auto sum. And I move my auto sum all the way over. Okay, now here's the cool thing. Rather than clicking now between C and D and between D and E and between E and F, right? I highlight B to H and I click between any 2 columns, and that widens actually all of them. That's a nice little time saver that is always good to know.
Click on it, go back to it. Go over to auto sum. Right there, mouse is right on it.
I now would like to also know the average. Michael, Mike, can you help her so that
Yeah.
he can concentrate on what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Then just drag it. And then you can show her how to do that.
I also want to do the average. Now, when you go to the drop-down menu next to auto sum, you see that Excel gives us as quick functions, sum, average, count numbers, maximum, and minimum. However, when I would turn to average, what the problem is, it will actually create the average including the total, which is not what we want. So rather than doing that, we have to actually put in the function by hand. So remember, what's the first sign that goes into a cell with a function? Equal sign. What do you think is the name of the average function? Average, exactly. See, it's you know English, you can do Excel. Average. And then remember, we have to put a parenthesis open. Now we highlight B4 to B7, close our parenthesis, hit enter, and there we have it. And I move it all over. And in H9, you just want to press delete. So you want to do in H8, okay? Because we want to do something very special now with. Can I just continue, Mike?
Just 1 second. Okay.
So charts are, of course, the coolest graphic there is, but there's also other tools that helps you to do data analysis. And we are now actually going to do a trend line. So as you can see, we have 4 neighborhoods in Massachusetts. We have the years from 2016 to 2021. And I want to know the trend line in that, okay? So please go to H4, go to Insert, and what you can see here, fairly much to the right, are spark lines. Have you all found the spark lines? I want you to hit the line spark lines. Now you have a menu. It asks you, what data do I want? I want the 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 data. Now hit OK, and there you have a spark line.
Could you do that one again, please?
Pardon me?
Could you show that spark line one more time, please?
Of course I can. So let's do it in H5, okay? So I click into H5, I highlight F5, I go to Insert, I go to Spark Lines, and go to Line. Yeah? And now it's asked me for the data range I want to analyze. I want the sparkline 4. So now I highlight B5, C, D, E, F, G5. Yeah. And hit OK. And I get another sparkline. Now, because that was so much fun, let's do it with another type of sparkline, okay? So let's do it again. Go to the insert ribbon, go to sparkline, but this time we are going to the column sparkline. So please press column and use the data range B6 to G6. Okay? Hit OK. And there we have column sparklines. And you know what is really cool? The fill handle works on sparklines too. So if I now go to the bottom of H6 until my cursor has turned into this little cross and I move it down, I have my fill handles, I have my sparklines in each one of my columns. What? It's cool, isn't it?
This works, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always excited about it. So now that we have done a nice little, again, sparklines are a nice little analytical tool that in this case, it shows us that the trend is upwards, right? Which is a good thing. Okay, now let's do a chart. The easiest chart there is the good old pie chart. The pie chart compares actually these neighborhoods. Now, I want to know the total cost of per location in my pie chart. So I want the data from I4 to I7. The problem is, however, when I only highlight this, then yes, I have the numbers in the pie chart, but I don't have any legend. Because Excel doesn't know what do these numbers stand for. So while the current area from I4 to I7 is still highlighted, I want you to press Control on your keyboard. Keep Control pressed, keep it pressed, and then highlight A4 to A7. Now, what is it doing? Sorry. Were you all able to do that? What you should now have A4 to 7 highlighted as well as I4 to 7. This is called two non-adjacent cell ranges. So if you want to highlight non-adjacent cell ranges, the Control button is your friend. You keep it pressed until you have highlighted everything you wanted.
Just one sec. We're falling behind.
Hold on, control.
Hold control.
No, hold on, not that. Just control.
This doesn't highlight. Highlight first, then hit control.
Yes.
All right.
So you highlight this area that you want. Right? Oops. Wait a minute. Okay, now you press Control, keep it pressed. Okay. Yeah, now you can use Control. They say you can hear, yeah. Okay, when you now all have A4 to 7 to I4 and 7 highlighted, please go to Insert, and there you have your charts. What I want you to pick is the pie chart that is on the next to recommended charts on the bottom left. I want you to go to the drop-down menu, and I want you to pick the 3D pie. You now should have a chart which says on the bottom, Cambridge, Waltham, Framingham, and Nashua, and gives you the areas. Do you all have that? Now, the cool thing is when we click on the chart, as you can see, you now have a design ribbon and you have a format ribbon. Let's just stick with the design ribbon. What you can do is you can actually change the colors of your chart. My favorite color is yellow, so I do it yellow, but you can do it in any way you want. So just choose some cool colors. The next thing you can do is, I want you to double click on the actual chart. Sorry, let's do that again. As you can see, when you click on the chart, you see these little round things around all the pie charts. You see those little round buttons here? That means that all your pie pieces are actually highlighted. And now I want you, nope, that's not what I want. Sorry, I'm stymied right now. Okay, yes, so let's do that again. You go to the center of the pie chart and double click, and you now get actually this, you actually get this menu that says Format Data Series. You all have that? What I now want you to,
Format data point.
I have format data point as well.
you have to click on the last, so there's a painting bucket on the top right.
I think it's the same thing.
There is the pentagon on the top. You see that? There's a painting bucket, there's a pentagon, and there is the data bar. I want you to click on the data bar.
I think it's the version of Excel because I have the same.
What is it? Can you get to it?
I got that.
It's yours says series, mine says point, but we're working with the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And she's just saying it says point, it says series. Yeah.
So you go to the center and double click. Yes, that's the same thing.
I
That's
think
the-
it's just Excel
second one, it did
2010
say
versus
series.
Okay.
2017 or something.
Okay, what I now want you to do, because what we currently see with our pie chart is that the two with the largest one are actually in front. When I have a pie chart, I like the one with the smallest in front. So I want you to change the angle of your first slide. And as you keep doing it, you can actually turn the pie chart around. All right, we have now the largest, which is Cambridge on the back, and the smaller ones on the front, which I think is better. Now, if you want to do something even cooler, you can let your pie chart explode. So just play around with the explosion, just increase the explosion. And as you can see, the charts actually go apart. That is an exploding pie chart. I always have fun with it. Now comes something really cool. When you just double click on one pie piece, as you can see now, these round buttons there are only 3 round buttons. Okay. When you now do point explosion, you just have this one sticking out. So if you give a presentation where you talk about the overall pie, and then you want to highlight just one specific piece of the pie, this is how you do it. You double click on the pie piece you want to highlight, and then you hit explosion. All clear on that? Okay, let's explore something else. When I go to my pie chart and go to the ribbon, as you can see on the very left, there is Add Chart Element. This button is the most important button for charts because I currently have a chart title. So it currently has no chart title. See, I want a chart title above chart. I have now highlighted the chart title and I call it rental cost history. Nah, that didn't work. Up.
Right on that. And then
And now I double click on the legend. And as you can see now, when you double click on the legend, you have another menu. Currently, we have our legend on the bottom. I want my legend to the left. And now I have my legend to the left. Got it? You like your pie chart?
It's the coolest pie chart ever.
Thank you. Okay, then I want you to go to chart 2. First of all, let's widen the columns. Highlight them all, double click on one, and then you highlighted them all. Let's do our trend lines again, okay? So go to G4. Press insert. Go to,
How do we move them all at the same time?
you highlight all, you highlight all columns like this.
Okay, thank you.
And then you just go between 2 and double click, and then they're widened all.
Okay, good.
Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, got it? Okay, good. So we go into G4, we go to the insert ribbon, we go to spark lines, and we go to line. And the data range is B4 to F4. We hit OK. And then we have our spark lines. And now we drag them down. And now we have spark lines. They all look pretty much the same, but still.
Let's try. Yeah, there you go. Go across, yeah. That's it.
And now
There you go.
we want to create a little bit more complex chart.
Yep.
And that little bit more complex chart is, in fact, a bar chart, a column chart. So I want you to highlight the whole table, except the total row. Don't put the total row in there, because if you add up the total row is necessarily half of everything, right? It skews completely your chart off. So highlight A3 to H7. And now go to insert. And now click next to column chart. Let's do some 3D columns. Now, why do I have the total in there? I have no idea. I didn't highlight the total. So in my chart is currently the total. What I can do, I can go to select data. And of course, what happens is that I highlighted H. I don't want you to highlight H. So you see the chart data range. Let me do that again. I want you to click on the chart. I want you to go to select data. You all see that? Yeah. Click on select data. And now you can see what we added was actually column H, which we don't want to add. We also don't want to add column G because that is where our spark line is. So change the H here to F. It can be a small f, it doesn't matter. Excel automatically translates that into a capital F. Hit OK, and now we have our correct chart. Now, our chart, as we see it right now, is actually pretty useless because it shows us what happens per year. But I really want to see what happens per neighborhood, right? So there's this neat little button here under data. There's this neat little button that is called switch row and column. So I want you to press on that. And now I have what I actually want to have. Okay? So I have now a column chart that tells me per neighborhood the trend line for each year. And we can see that Nashua is always the lowest, Framingham is next to it, Waltham is more, and what is absolutely exploding is Cambridge. Now the only thing, so again, we double click on the chart title and we write rental cost projection. Oops. Now, what I now really would like to do is, I would really like to change these numbers. They are currently in $200,000 increments. And that means there are a lot of lines. Okay? So double click on the vertical axis numbers. And you should get the menu that is called Format Axis. Do you all have that menu, Format Axis? So,
It doesn't look like yours, but it's there.
do you all see units? Oh, yours is already done.
But it doesn't look like yours.
There we go. Yours is already correct, Wei. I don't know why. I don't know how you did it, but yours is already correct. Mine isn't. So, under units, I want you to change it from 200,000 to 500,000. And yours is already changed, so you don't need to do that. And hit enter. And what you now see on your chart is actually that you see it is much better, because now it actually has just the 500,000 lines, and it's much more doable. The last thing I would like to know, because this is already pretty cool, but I want to go to Add Chart Element. And currently I have horizontal grid lines. I also want vertical grid lines. See that? Now I actually have little rectangles in which I can put the data in. Again, we go to Add Chart Element, Grid Lines, and we make sure that both the primary major horizontal and the primary major vertical are highlighted. And when you really want to play around now, if you go to chart styles, you can see all sorts of different things you can do with your charts. Just play around with the styles. I mean, this is kind of nice. It has actually the numbers, but I don't want the numbers really, so I much rather stick with that. That has the numbers too. I can here unselect the value, and now the numbers are not there. I can double click on this. Sorry. And delete, sorry. I don't know why this is currently not working. Let's say, yes. Go here on the data bars, unselect value. Now click on those and get rid of value. Now you have just the columns without the values. With me? So you now have learned how to make a pie chart and how to change the various part elements and how to play around with that. You also have learned, which is probably the key most important thing, how to select and change data on a table, on a chart. Okay? So charts are a lot of fun because you can do really some crazy stuff with them, but I leave it at that. I mean, what I really hope you guys going to do, I'm showing you just one thing, and you have the original file in the email and the file you are just manipulating. By the way, I want you to save right now, so press Control S, and that will automatically save the file. You have the saved file too, so you know that you have done it, and then you can go over it again and again and just play around, okay? Okay, we next do a lot of functions in this one. Yeah?
We have a question in the chat,
Yep.
and I don't actually know what time it came in, but it says, can't you also click on the arrow in the top left corner of the spreadsheet, highlight the entire spreadsheet, and then double click between any of the columns?
Yes, you can absolutely do that. That is the same thing to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, sorry we didn't see that question earlier. Yes, you can do that. What she means is here, or he means is clicking here, that highlights the whole spreadsheet. And then you click on the columns, right? And then all columns are auto-fitted. Yes, you can absolutely do that.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, so what we are now learning are a couple more functions. So the first thing what I want you to do here is, the first thing I would like you to do, I want you to go to A, B, C, D, A1, A, B1, C1, D1, and press merge and center, and use as cell style your heading 1 style. And then I want you to go to A2, B2, C2, D2, and press merge and center. What we have here is the timesheet of Devin Hastings. Devin Hastings has worked for a while and wants now to get paid. Okay, so this is how much Devin has actually worked. So the first thing what we do is we actually use the fill handle to fill in the days. We have 14 days, and now it works exactly as it's supposed to do, right? It pulls the individual days out. So you now should all have the range from October 1st to October 14th in column B. So when you click on the worksheet V column, VLOOKUP 2, just click on that. You actually see that here's a list of people and they all have employment numbers. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to actually find in C5, we want to actually find the value from this table that fits our Devin Hastings. Now, of course, we could just simply now go here, right? We want the employee number. We go to VLOOKUP, we go to Devin Hastings, and we see it's DH01, right? Which is simple to do. So because we only have 9 employees here. But most companies have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees. So if you want to look up something like that, you don't want to stroll through hundreds and hundreds of things. So here's how you do it. The function is called VLOOKUP. So we go to formulas and we go to insert function. And here is now type a brief description of what you want to do and then click go. I want you to put in VLOOKUP, one word, and hit enter.
So we want to do it up here, then we want to go here, and then you want to type in, wait, now type it.
VLOOKUP. And now you see VLOOKUP bluely highlighted. I want you to hit OK. And this is now a function dialog window. Now, as we did earlier with average and sum, those are easy to do by hand. But with a more complex function, we really want to use those dialog windows because they make our life way easier. So the first thing that VLOOKUP asks for is our lookup value. This is Devin Hastings, right? C4 is our lookup value because we want to know the employment number of Devin Hastings. The next question it asks us is, what is the table array from which we want to look up this specific value, right? So click on table array, go to VLOOKUP 2, and highlight this table. And now what you see in your table array is VLOOKUP 2 exclamation point I1 to B9. Yeah, you all have that. Yes.
Let's go back to the words table array. What'd you do for table array?
So I went to table array, and then I went to VLOOKUP 2 and highlighted just the table. Okay. Now the last part is the column index number. the column index number is from which of the columns we want the value retrieved. Now, in our table, in column 1 are the names. In column 2 are the employment number. So from what column do we actually want to have the value retrieved? Number 2. Column number 1 has the names. Column number 2 has the numbers. Yeah? You understand that this is column 2? Make sense? 1, 2. So we put in column 2, hit OK, and there we have it. If you think that was way more complicated than is, we will do VLOOKUP later again. If you think that was way more complex than it needs to be, believe me, if you have thousands of employees and you want to check something out,
We need a minute. Look up value. What was that again? Look up value.
the lookup value is Devin Hastings, C4.
Table array is VLOOKUP to column 2. Okay. Too few arguments.
The lookup value is Devin Hastings. The table array is lookup 2. And the column index number is 2. It's my magic
I was
touch.
using that thing, I don't think it made a difference, but I was typing.
How come that worked?
Because I'm a genius.
Wow, it's amazing.
I just have these magic fingers that make Excel obey me when no one else does. I have that all the time with students. But I did it exactly the same way.
I'm not touching it again.
Okay, so now we want to actually know that we figured out with a lot of complexity how to actually figure out Devin Hastings' employment number. We want to know how much she earned. And the hourly wage is $16.50. Let me just highlight that in bold, that we never forget that. Let me make it even red. So you now see the hourly wage is $16.50. What I want you to do is, I want you to go into D10. So what is the calculation we actually have to do? We have to multiply the hours that Devin worked by the hourly wage, right? So we have the equal sign, and then we click the hourly wage times, this is the little star, so it's Shift 8, C10. Yeah? Press enter. So on October 1st, 2020, Devin has earned $136.13. Yeah? And now, as you all are aware, we have the fill handle. So let's just fill handle and use the fill handle. And we get crap. Now we have to figure out why we just got crap, right? Because that is not what we want. So here in D12 is a value window. And when you now go look here is that poor Excel tries to multiply H25 with C12. Well, it does multiply C12, which is correct, with D9, which contains a word. Even Excel cannot multiply a word and a number, right? That is impossible. So what has actually happens when we go down, here it is correct, it's D7 times C10. When we now go down, we see D8, which is correct, But unfortunately, it's C11, which is not supposed to be. It should remain C10, right? This is called an absolute reference. So what we want to tell Excel when we are, let's delete that crap because that's really not fun. So let's go back to our D10. D10. My stupid mask always moves down. It's kind of really annoying. I don't know why it does that. Well, anyway. So sorry for the mask thinking. Anyway, so we want to kind of tell Excel that why it should change C10 to 11 to 12 and stuff like that, which is called a relative reference, a reference that changes wherever we drag a function. We want to tell it that actually the reference to D7 should remain the same. How do we do that? We click anywhere on D7 and we press F4. What you now see is that before the column D and before the row 7 is a $sign. That means that we now turned from a relative reference into an absolute reference. Yeah.
Here, we're going to click here, and we're going to click F4. And it changed it to $D, $7.
The $sign indicates that you actually have a relative, that you have an absolute relative reference. Now, when we now turn and move our function down, oh, I have to press enter, of course. When I now move it down, it is correct.
You got to select that cell and then move it down. You're copying it all the way down.
Yeah, always wait till your mouse, till your cursor has turned into this very skinny cross rather than the fat white cross. That is when your fill handle works. And now we do an auto sum. Yay! And now we know that Devon Hastings has earned in the first 2 weeks of October $1,340. And here I actually put a formula in where I'll multiply D24 by 2. This way we know that Devon Hastings has a monthly income of $2,681. Now I'm usually
Auto sum, go home, up, auto sum,
and always hit enter after that.
and then grab that. Just go right on the in between. Yep, pull it out. Yep,
Double click.
that's it.
So now I won't do that with you, but I just want to point out that at this point, I always have a discussion with my students about minimum wage, because when you actually look at it, 16.15 sounds like a pretty good hourly wage. And when you actually think what you make, minus Social Security and taxes, this is not enough to feed a family of 4. And so at this point, I always kind of discuss with my students what the hourly wage, minimum wage is. And we are a Franciscan school and we want our students to adopt Franciscan values. So this is a discussion on justice that we have. But I won't bore you with that, but I just want to point it out that I do it at this point. Okay, by now you should have understood VLOOKUP, and you should have understood what an absolute reference is. The absolute reference is indicated with the $signs that we get with F4, and that enables us to use one cell as a reference for multiple functions. All clear? No questions? Okay, then let's go to the fun part. Now I'm really excited. Again, let's do the highlight the whole thing and click on anything. Now we have all our columns wide enough. Now I'm actually really excited that I have people from Community Bank, because Community Bank is my home bank as well. And I have annoyed several people there because I could do that whole thing, what I'm now showing you, and that annoyed them because I got around to a lot of interest rate by doing what I'm now doing. So you community bank folks might not like what I show, but it still is a lot of fun. So we have two functions that are most important in loan amortization. One is the PMT function. PMT stands for payment. And the other one is the NPER function. This is the number of payment per payment period. So what are the elements of any loan? The elements of any loan are the principal, the annual interest rate, the monthly payment, and how many payments you make, right? However, what we usually get is an annual interest rate. When we make monthly payments, we have to divide the interest rate by 12, right? Otherwise, with a 6% interest rate, we would end up, when we would use that, we would end up with an interest rate of 72%. And that is a little bit too high to buy anything. So what we have here in the first column is we have our principal, and the principal is always put in minus 100,000. We have our 6% interest rate. We divided now our interest rate by 12 to get the monthly interest. We have our length of the loan, which is 180 months, which is actually 15 years divided by 12, multiplied by 12, I'm sorry. And now we want to know, with the principal of $100,000 and a running time of 15 years, which is what a house loan usually runs for, how much do we actually have to pay per month? So I want you to go to formulas, to insert function, and I want you to type PMT for payment. And you should now see the PMT function highlighted. I want you to click on it, and you now should have this new dialog window. Are you all with me?
No, I don't even have that. I had no dollar amounts filled in.
No,
Okay, let me do that again.
I had no dollar amounts.
Let me do that again. Just stay with me.
Yep.
Let us go to B9. Click on B9. Okay? Now go to formulas. Go to insert function on the very left. And then where it says type a brief description, type PMT.
This has to be highlighted for it to be replaced. So now type it.
And hit enter. And you should now find in blue the PMT. Now you hit OK, and you are at this window. Is everyone at that window? Okay. So what is our rate? Which is our interest rate?
6%.
No, that's the annual interest rate. Remember, we want to do monthly payment. It's 0.5, right? But in Excel, we never refer to actual values. We always make a cell reference. We never refer to actual values. So what is the cell? B6. So just click on B6. What is the number of payments? No, it's 180.
180.
So what is the cell? It's B7, right? And the present value is the present value of the future payment or the amount or whatever. It's the principal, right? PV, this is 100,000, this is B4.
Click in that box and then go click on.
You have all that?
Good. Yes.
I want you to hit OK. And Excel returns $843.86.
I missed the box.
Did you? So if you were here, the payment is the rate B6, the number of periods 180. And the present value was before or 100,000. Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So now comes the point where I make my banker really unhappy. Okay? And what we are now doing is actually a goal seek analysis. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your PMT function and drag it all the way over, right? So this seems kind of funny, but please remember that now currently B9 is the one cell that combines all our 4 elements of our loan: the principal, the interest rate, the numbers of payments, and the actual payment. Yeah? So I want you to go now to C9. C9 is currently set at $843,000. Sorry, not $1,000. That would be a little bit much. $843. So what I'm now telling my happy banker is, look, 843 is an awfully low payment. I can actually afford more. So if I can afford more, how much faster can I have paid my loan? And this is, of course, what bankers don't like, because if I pay my loan back faster, it means less interest, right? So I go to the ribbon data. Please go to the ribbon data. I don't know why I did this. And then what you can actually see pretty much to the right is forecast. Do you all see forecast? Yeah? I want you to go to the what if analysis. What if I could pay more each month, right? And I want you now to do goal seek. Do you all have this little dialog window? Okay, so I have my cell C9, which is the cell in which all 4 elements of my loan are combined in the PMT function, right? So I set my cell C9 to $1,200. And what do I want to change? The month of payment. So I'm changing this one here, right? I'm sorry. And hit OK. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's cancel that out. I forgot that. Please go to B8 to B7 and type in 180. We don't want a function in there. And pull the 180 over so that you have just the number 180 in there. I forgot you cannot do the goal seek with the number. Okay, let's do that again. Let's click on C9. Go to the data ribbon, what if analysis goal seek. We set our cell C9 to $1,200. And we want to change the number of payments. So we want to change C7. With me? When I now hit OK, it runs through some permutations. But what we actually realize now, that rather than paying 180 times our $843, we pay actually much rather 108 months. If you want to go to home, get rid of some of the decimals so that it's easier to handle. Okay? What?
You save 6 years of payments, that's good.
Yes, exactly. So by adding $350 per month, I'm saving 6 years of payment. That's actually quite nice. Did you change the 180 from a formula into a number?
No.
Yes, okay, that was my mistake, sorry. You had to put here, cancel that out. You have to put here, this is currently a formula, you have to actually put the number 180 in there. And then move this over.
It already was in there, there was 180.
Yeah, I know, but it was a formula.
Oh,
It was a formula, and that is what if can is now. Now you do for what if analysis goal seek. You set C7, excuse me, no, you set C9 to $1,200, whoops, dollars by changing C7. And there you are. So you just, by going to your friendly banker and says, I can actually afford $350 more, you just actually took 72-month away payment, 72-month payment away. That's 6 years. That's quite a lot. Okay? Now, please let's go into D9 and do the same thing again. This time, you go to your friendly banker and said, I know we agreed on $100,000, but I just found this house that actually has a fireplace, and I really, really, really want to have a fireplace. And the friendly banker said, well, if you can pay a little bit more, we can lend you more. So what we do is another goal seek analysis. We go to data, we go to what if analysis, goal seek. And we set D9 again to $1,200. But now we are not changing the cell with the payments. We are actually changing the cell with the loan amount. Got it? So when we do that, we actually realize when we keep on paying 15 years, we actually can take out with a monthly payment of $1,200, we can actually change, we can actually borrow $142,000. Got it? So the goal seek analysis is a really cool tool that enables you to play around. Now, please go into B16. What you now can see is, you can actually see that here you have the same values. You have $100,000, you have a 6% interest rate. You have a $1,200 payment, which we now want to figure out is, yeah.
Virginia says her goal seek keeps telling her she must have a formula.
Yes, you have to do the goal seek either in B9 or C9 or D9 or E9. You have to have it into one of the cells where you actually have your PMT function is.
Does that help, Virginia?
Well, I'm following that, but it keeps, I'm obviously doing something wrong because it keeps coming back to I need a formula.
Why don't we do the NPER and try it there, okay? And see if that works.
Okay.
Okay, so the NPER, go again to we are now wanting to know how long our payment is. I know we did all that, but I show you a different function, right? So go to formulas, insert function, and type NPER, which is numbers of payment per payment period. Hit OK. And what you can see now, it's the same thing we had before. We have our monthly interest rate of B14. I'm sorry. I did completely mess up. So insert function, and we want to NPER, and it gave, and hit enter. I forgot to say hit enter. I'm so sorry. Now you have the NPER function highlighted, and it asked you for the rate, which is again B14. This time it asked you for the payment, which is B17. And it asked you for the present value, which is $100,000, in other words, B12. You hit OK. And now you definitely want to go to the home ribbon. Got it?
You just move the decimal point, is that what you just did?
Yeah, again, you go to the home ribbon, click on them, and go here to the decimal points and remove some.
So go home.
Go home, yes.
And then here.
Oh.
So again, now Virginia, I hope that works now for you. Please put your highlight C16. We now again go to our friendly banker and say, I'm able to pay more than $1,200. Okay? So how much quicker can I pay off my loan when I say I pay $1,500? Okay? So please go to data, what if analysis, goal seek. We have C16. Please make sure that it says C16 now. We set that to value, let's say we want to pay it off in 72 months. Yeah, in 6 years. And we want to see how much then we have to pay. So please put here in C17. So your dialogue now should say it's C16, 72, and then C17. Hit OK. Oops.
No, I'm getting them. I got the same thing.
Ha!
So let's continue the formula.
Oh yes, of course. We haven't used the fill handle to actually fill it in. Stupid. That was me, totally stupid. So use your NPER function, go to the fill handle and fill in the other columns, the other columns. That was really stupid. I'm sorry. It has been 1.5 hours, so my concentration is a little bit flagging, but we keep on going, okay? So again, move to C16 where there is now a formula in. Go to what if analysis goal seek. We have C16. We changed that to 72. And we changed our payment, which is in C17. You hit OK. And it found a solution. So if we are able to pay $1,657, we can get our loan from $100,000 repaid in 6 years. Got it?
Very nice car.
Yep, it is. I go for BMWs. I'm German. What can I do? Now, again, another goal seek would be, okay, I'm happy to pay a little bit longer, but I want to have a nicer car. I want to actually get that Lamborghini ultimately. Okay? Ultimately. So please press on D16. Go to what if analysis goal seek. I'm changing D16 to 200. And I want to change the principal. Okay. Oh, that is far away from my beloved Lamborghini. So when I'm willing to pay $1,200 for 200 months, then I barely can afford a Mercedes S-Class. Okay? Do you understand goal seek? Okay. Now we do the final element of a loan amortization, and that is always something very nice. I want now to know in each month how much I still owe. Now, I know I make a payment, but I know that in each month, a part of the payment doesn't go to my principal, right? It goes towards interest. So I have here a car loan for $50,000, and I have a 4-year contract, a 4-year loan. You know what? Make that a 3-year loan. Okay, 36. My interest rate is 3%. That's why it means my monthly interest rate in I5 is equals 3% divided by 12, right? And I turn that on the home ribbon into a percentage number, and I add some decimals so that I know, okay. You all with me?
You can go back just a little bit.
I go into I5 and I put the equal sign for formula. And now I divide I4, which is our annual interest rate. I divide that by 12. Okay? That gives me our monthly interest rate. Okay? And I want to change that into percentage. And it now says 0 because it is 0.25. So I add some decimals and it now tells me it's 0.25. Yeah? Okay. The first thing I want to do is I want to actually, and this is the only tedious part, I promise, I want to actually put in here a 1 and I want to put in a 2. And now I highlight both and use my fill handle. And I want to go all the way down to 36. Because I have 36 months in which I pay. Yeah? Okay, let's do that again. In H1, you put in a 1. And excuse me, in H10, you put in a 1. In H11, you put in a 2. Yeah?
Yeah, I just have to delete, I got some extra stuff in there, all right.
And now you move it all the way down until you have your 36 month. Okay? What I now want you to do is, I want you to grab H10.
Twos. It didn't carry it down 1 through 36, it just said,
You
You
gotta
carry
highlight
twos
1 and
down.
2, or then do it.
Right.
Highlight 1 and 2. Then fill it. Yeah.
okay, I'm still a little short, but that's okay. Put it down.
So I now want you to take H9 to all the way down to the 36. And now you understand why I shortened it from 36 and turned that into a table. Insert table. And yes, my table has headers. Why did I do that? I did do that because when you are in a table, it will automatically use the fill handle. You don't have to use the fill handle by hands. It will automatically fill in the comments with your formula. So we're gonna do our PMT formula again. So please go to formulas, insert function, and your PMT function should be right there because Excel always remembers which function you have used previously. So there is now the PMT right there. So double click on that. And what we now have to do is we have now to use absolute cell references because we dragged that function down 36 rows. Okay, so what is the rate? The rate is I5. Please press F4. The numbers of payment is 36. I6. Okay, and please press F4 to have the quotation, to have the dollar signs. The present value is $50,000, I3. And please press F4 to turn it into an absolute reference. Yeah? Hit OK. And we obviously get the same amount in every single column all the way down. Okay, now we want to know of our payment of $1,454.06. how much every month goes towards the principal and how much goes to the interest. And what it should do is that every month the payment towards the interest goes down and the payment towards the principal goes up, right? So now we have to think, and this is why Excel is so lovely, because the formula names just make so much sense. When I want to know the payment for the principal, the formula is PMT, right? And when I want to know the formula for the interest, the formula is PMT. Interest, PMT towards interest, and PMT towards principal. Okay? So let's do the principal one first. I want you to go to formulas, insert function, and put in PPMT. And hit OK. And now comes the trick. The rate is I5, but we have to make that again an absolute reference. Press F4. The period is the actual period, which is H10, right? But please be aware that that remains a relative reference, because when we drag the formula down, the period has to change in each formula, right? Because it has to be first 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, because the payment towards the principal changes every month. And the N per, again, is an absolute reference, and so is the present value. So what you now should have is, you should have, let me just correct that to make it easier to read. So this is H10.
You want us to change that to H?
No, you can just leave it like that. Press OK. And as you can see, you have 329, 332, and then you have 336. And in the very last month, you actually, out of your payment of $1,454.06, of $1,450 and 43 cents goes towards the principal. Okay? Meaning the payment towards the principal goes up. And now we do the same thing again, but this time we are using the IPMT function. So go to formulas, insert function, type IPMT, hit OK. And as you can see, the IPMT function asks for exactly the same values. It asks for the rate, which is an absolute value. It asks for the payment period, which is not an absolute value. It asks for the number of payments, which is an absolute reference. Oh, excuse me, it's A10, sorry. And it asks for the present value, which is $50,000 and also an absolute reference. And here we see the same thing. In our first month, we are paying actually $125 interest. In our last month, we're paying $336. And want to see something really cool? When we now go to K46 and do an auto sum, oh, that is too wide. We can see that over the course of our loan, of our 3-year loan, we have paid $2,346 in interest. Yeah? Leaves us with the last column. I want to know what's left. So in the first month, obviously what's left is my principal. And then I have to add. Since all the payments are negative, right? I have to add. So I do plus whatever the payment towards my principal was. You understand that, right? That's my first month. And now it gives me some pretty crappy numbers. Why? Because it used the formula and then it goes to 3% and so on and so on. What we want to have instead, I want you to go all the way to the bottom and delete what we have here so that you only have the first function. The first function is I3, our current principal with which we start, plus our principal payment. Yeah, our payment towards the principal. Now, in the next month, you do have the formula. You have actually only $48,000 left. So you add to that this one. And this is now the formula you can drag down. And what should you end up with? You should end up with a 0. Got that? So in each month, now let's just go to the table we just created. In each month, it tells you what your payment is through the PMT function. Each month, it tells you exactly how much of your payment goes towards the principal, right? In each month, it tells you how much of your payment goes towards the interest rate, and that one goes down. And then in each month, it tells you how much you have left. And in the end, you have 0 left because you paid it all off. Now, doing something like that with 120 payment loan is kind of tedious because you have to drag it down all 120 rows, but it's still easier to do. And I personally like it when I feel in control over my own interests. I mean, that is not belief that I distrust my banker, right? It's nice on my own to calculate that. It's just a nice thing. Okay, are we clear with the amortization table? You should now be familiar with the PMT function, with the NPER function. You should be able to do goal seeks, right? You should be able to do the IPMT and the PPMT and do an amortization table. Are we guys having fun?
Yeah. This is the fun part.
Okay, cool. Are you still ready for more or are you tired?
I've got it still 4, so.
You can leave if you want. I show basically all what I'm showing now is repetition.
That's fine. Yeah, no, you got a lot more tabs, so keep going. It's good. It's all good information.
Okay, I want you to go to dog color.
Where's that?
Dog color.
Put it in the pile.
Down.
Second to the left.
So can I show you? It's one of these tabs, but it's way over hidden.
So we have here a whole bunch of dogs that are famous, right? We all know those. And we also know how big their necks are in centimeters, because I'm German, we think in metrics. And now we want to know, if we buy them a jacket, how big the neck has to be, right? Because the neck size is one of the big sizes we need. So we see from 0 to 9 centimeters is XXS, from 10 to 19 is XS, from 20 to 39 it's S, from 40 to 59 it's L, and so on and so on. You see what that table says, right? So now we want to know for each one of our dogs how big the neck size for their jacket. So in other words, we want to, in C2, we want to look up a value from this table array, right? Remember what the function is called? It is VLOOKUP. So let's go to formulas, insert function, and your VLOOKUP function should still be there. The lookup value is B2, right? The table array is E2 to F9. And I want you to highlight that and press F4 so that the table array is an absolute reference.
What's the table array again, beginning?
It's this table here. It's E2 to F9. Okay? And then highlight it and press F4. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, cool. The column index number is, we want to return the size. It's column index number 2, right? The next size numbers are in the first column, and our second column are the sizes, right? So it's column index number 2. Okay, Scooby-Doo gets a size small. Let's just put it all down. And yoo-hoo, Clifford gets an XXL. As we could have assumed anyway, right? I wanted to go over the VLOOKUP function again, because I think it is important that you get that. All right? Now I want you to go to fill handle. We are now learning another function. Okay, I want you to widen column A a little bit. One function we haven't touched upon, which I don't want to let go, let you go of without having at least touch on that, is the if function. Are you familiar with the if function? Okay, cool, then you don't need that. All right. The if function is actually a really cool function where we can actually do calculations if a certain condition is met. And it functions exactly like the term if in English. If a certain condition is met, then do that, else do something else. Yeah? So what we have here is we have here the number of sales in column B. And we have, when you have more, $20,000 or more, then you get a $750 bonus. Bye. I hope you got something out of it.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, so please go to C2, go to formulas, go to insert function, and just type if. Oops, sorry, this was again me being brain dead. If, and then go. All right. Each if function starts with a logical test. A logical test is one that can either be true or false and nothing else. So what is our logical test? Our logical test for Rod Barbaria is if his sales were equal to or larger than $20,000, yeah? So the logical test for Excel is if B2 is equal to or greater than 20,000. Yeah?
I think it's word invalid on that. I don't know. Get invalid on that? That he's wrong.
That doesn't make any sense. B2 is greater than or equal to 20.
Okay.
I think you have the,
You have yours equal then, that's why I did.
yeah, it should work in both ways. Oh, you had,
I did it way you have on your screen, you have equal. Then.
yes. It should work. B2 is equal then, greater than some reason it works. I don't know. I have no idea. I told you, I have the magic fingers. I did exactly what he did and it worked. Sorry about that. I can't tell.
But then when I click on it, it says invalid again.
Really?
I think it worked when you put the greater.
It says it for me too. Yes, I'm sorry. So the greater sign must be first, and then comes the equal sign. Greater than and equal to, not equal than equal and greater. I apologize. So as you can see here, I put in this bonus true or false. So I want you to just type true. If we put value, if the logical text is true, we put in a true. If the value is false, we put in a false. And now drag the function down. Okay, we can now see that Rod, Twanda, and Frida all get a bonus, and Eleanor and Darius were laggards. They don't get a bonus. Shall we do that again? So insert function in D2, press if. Again, our logical test is if B2 is greater than or equal to, I'm sorry, 20,000. Value is true, we say yes. Value is false, we say no. And we can drag the function down. So it is really up to you what you want to choose, right? So let's do it one more time. Go to insert function, select if, logical test once again. It's B2 greater than equal to 20,000. Value if true is $750. Okay? And value if false is 0. So in other words, the logical test is clear, right? Whatever you want to ask. But what you put in the then else functions is your own. Sometimes true false works, sometimes yes no works. In our case, I would argue the bonus number itself is the best possibility. Okay? That was all we have time for. I hope you had a little bit of fun. And Mike, you want to say something?
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, Anna. That was terrific, an absolute wealth of information and useful, I think, for the community, you know?
Yes.
So that's just terrific. Thank you very much.
And if you guys want me to come to other places and help you out, I'm happy to do so. Okay?
Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
All right, we're getting in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Oh yes, I see it. Yeah. You guys all have fun and have a wonderful thing. And again, I emailed you. I just see your question in the X file. I emailed it to all of you so you can use it, and you just modified it, right? And you have that as well. Okay. Bye, guys.